Everyone. Welcome to Transformation Tuesday. I am Dr. Nicole Smith here with Anti-Gravity Wellness, and I am in the Anti-Gravity Wellness home-based clinic today doing some work here. I pop on and say hello to everybody. So today's theme, this week, wow, I'm okay. Maybe I need coffee. Okay. We're going to talk about caffeine and how to naturally energize yourself without having to depend on caffeine all day. We are halfway through the day and we're starting to feel it, right? And sometimes you have that midday slump. Have you noticed that? So if you eat lunch and then you crash, that could be something to do with what you're eating. Or if you're having any issues with blood glucose, that can also cause some crashes there. So it has nothing to do with like a lack of caffeine. It's actually something to do more with your energy levels, how you're fueling your body, how you're recovering, how you're sleeping. So we're going to talk about a case study here today. We'll call her Sarah. Obviously, names changed for HIPAA reasons. So Sarah is 48 years old, and she broke free from her 6 cup of coffee per day habit dependency that she had. And now she's able to get through her day without the constant fatigue and without relying on the caffeine. So we'll dive into the hidden connections between caffeine, hormones, and energy crashes that every woman over 40 needs to know. So let me know in the chat for those of you who are popping in here. I'm going to wait a little bit more before we really start asking questions. I'm waiting for some people to come on in. I'm so glad you guys are here. Nice to see you all. All right. So who had to reach for coffee this morning before you even brush your teeth? Like first thing in your mouth is coffee. I am doing a little bit better. I make sure I drink water. And actually, now that I take a thyroid medication, yes, because I'm getting older and I have a little bit of like underlying subclinical Hashimoto's. So I take a tiny little bit of liothyronine to help with that because my brain fog was so bad. And that has helped so much. I'm feeling so much better. So, so many different underlying causes, right? If I had just tried to barrel through that with caffeine, it wouldn't work because it wasn't, again, it's not a caffeine deficiency that's causing my brain fog. It's changes through perimenopause and a little bit of hypothyroidism that was going on there. So, I have my medication and then water and then wait 30 minutes before I have anything else. Sometimes I just go back to bed for a while. But I drink a big old cup of water before I have my coffee. And I make sure too that I have a little bit of breakfast or snack, my pre-workout before or with my coffee, because that high acidity can be a real problem for people. So, the average woman over 40 drinks 3 to 4 cups of coffee daily, which doesn't necessarily mean that there's anything wrong there. But if it is something that you absolutely cannot live without, that can be a problem. So if you're feeling dragged, hi, everybody. If you guys are dragging this afternoon, raise your hand in the chat if you feel like you are low on energy and it's only halfway through the day and you're like, I need caffeine. I need coffee. I need an energy drink. I need something to get me through the rest of this freaking day. It's only Tuesday, guys. All right. So Sarah went from drinking 6 cups to 1 cup, and she actually has more energy. So she has her coffee because she enjoys it, not because she needs it. So how did she do that? What is her secret? So Sarah's 48. She's a marketing executive, a mother of 2 teens. Her initial complaints when she came to me, she was exhausted by 2 p.m. She needed coffee every 2 hours, and her sleep was just garbage. Like she was wired but tired at night and had a really hard time sleeping. And she'd wake up still feeling tired. Even if she managed to get 7 or 8 hours of sleep, she still felt tired. And ruling out any other things like sleep apnea or something like that. So raise your hand in the chat if you guys wake up tired. Let me know in the chat if you guys wake up feeling tired. It is so common, especially as we get older. So we really need to be aware of that and know that it's not just because Oh, well, yes, of course, we need to put down the phone and not be scrolling and things like that at night. We need to be more mindful of not so much like, yes, your morning routine matters. Everyone's like hashtag morning routine, but your evening routine really, really matters. It matters how you are regulating your sleep, how you are practicing what they call sleep hygiene. So, are you turning off your electronics an hour before bed? Or do you have a wind down routine? Do you go to bed at the same time every night? Or are you just kind of like all over the place? Those things matter. They really do matter. And especially as we get older, we can't ignore that anymore. We could just barrel through in our 20s, but we're not 20 anymore, are we? Some of you are, but hi. Welcome, my young friends. All right. So when she started having heart palpitations and anxiety attacks, this was her wake up call. That she was like, okay, this isn't working anymore. She tried to like get off caffeine and it just would not work for her. Does this sound familiar to anyone? So let's see what we discovered. So there's a hormone connection. Estrogen actually does affect caffeine metabolism. Freaking wild. Nobody tells you this. But as our estrogen levels start to decline, ladies, after the age of 35, into our 40s, our estrogen starts to decline, and this can actually affect how well we're metabolizing caffeine. In addition to the fact that as we are aging, we don't metabolize caffeine as well. So a little bit goes a lot farther than it did before. So we really need to be mindful of that, like cut back on our caffeine intake. There's an adrenal impact. Caffeine plus perimenopause equals adrenal burnout cycle, which we're already burned out on our adrenals. We're already revving that on, redlining our bodies all this time. And as our hormones are changing through perimenopause, our adrenals are being impacted even more. They're getting more stressed out because it's a stressful time when our hormones are changing. Our body is rewiring from head to toe, from your brain to your heart to your bones to everything. It's not just hot flashes, guys. There's so much more to it than that. So when we push a bunch of caffeine to try and push through that fatigue, we're actually doing more harm than good. And we're ignoring those signals from our body. We need to pay closer attention and listen to those signals in our body. Okay. And then the blood sugar roller coaster. Caffeine has a hidden impact on insulin sensitivity. It can actually blunt that and make things worse. So let's think about like after lunch and you're thinking, oh, I'm going to rail some energy drinks to get me through the rest of this day. That can actually cause a little bit more problems with insulin resistance, which is already an issue as we're getting older. It's an issue for a lot of people who aren't even getting older. It's just an issue across the board because insulin resistance as a whole is going up. And that is basically pre-diabetes. So we definitely don't want to make that worse, right? Yes. So let's kind of try it and make sure we're not going down that route. And then cortisol chaos. Morning cortisol plus caffeine equals afternoon crashes. So if you are getting that caffeine into you before your body even has a chance to like fully go, oh, it's daytime and we need to get going, the body naturally increases cortisol to help you wake up in the morning. When we overdo the caffeine on top of that, it really revs up the system, and that can just confuse everything and make your fatigue, especially in the afternoon, even worse. So basically, minimum caffeine. No problem. Have your coffee in the morning. I love my coffee. I'm not telling you not to drink coffee, okay? And it's actually really good for your gut health. And there's been studies that have shown some longevity things with that and protective benefits of that. But we don't want to overdo it, okay? Hi, thank you for watching. And everyone there on TikTok, hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me during your lunch break. I appreciate you all being here. Okay, so let's talk about the 3-2-1 rule. 3 p.m. caffeine cutoff, 2-week gradual reduction, and then try and get yourself down to like 1 cup. I'm down to 2 most days, so that's an accomplishment for me, by the way. It's working on the floor as a nurse for so many years, and I worked at Starbucks when I was going to school, so I like coffee, I like caffeine, it gets me through. I get it. I really do. But it is important that we try and cut back as we get older, right? Alternatives that we can use. Well, what can we do? I have been sipping on some green my blueberry green tea, super delicious. Green tea, yes, still has some caffeine, but it also has like things like L-theanine, which are soothing to your adrenal glands. So that's something that you can incorporate, especially when you're doing that reduction phase part, when you're trying to get off of caffeine. That's a good time to incorporate things like green tea, matcha. You can use adaptogenic herbs and use some B vitamins. Take your B vitamins in the morning. If you look at a bunch of energy drinks, they have all those B vitamins on there. That's because B vitamins are part of the energy pathway. They don't give you energy. They're not calories or anything like that. They're not ATP, but they're part of that process in your cells of making that energy, making that ATP. So having extra B vitamins can kind of help. Some people actually say like, oh, it makes you feel energized. So I've actually told my patients, take your B vitamins, your methylated B complex for a lot of us who might have MTHFR genetic variances, if you know what that is, to take your B vitamins in the morning, because some people do say that it makes them a little wired at night. So that's just something that I've observed with some of my patients. When to drink it, like that, when do you drink that coffee? So honestly, a good time is before your workout. Caffeine is a great pre-workout because it helps with that energy. It helps with that focus. It helps with the pump. So any of those pre-workouts that you look at, they have caffeine in them. And that's why it does provide energy. So it can be used beneficially, but when we overdo it, we oversaturate the receptors, and then it's not going to have the same effect. You need more and more to get the same effect. And then there's the law of diminishing return, right? So if Sarah's story resonated with you, you do not have to figure this out alone. We do consultations here at Anti-Gravity Wellness. I'm a nurse practitioner here in Washington, Oregon State. You're here in my little telemedicine clinic. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. And I do that here in my practice. We do full evaluations. Like, why are you tired? Why do you need all this caffeine to get you through your day? There could be so many things going on. You could have adrenal adaptation, aka adrenal fatigue. You could have thyroid dysregulation, subclinical hypothyroidism, super common, and they don't test for it. I had a patient the other day. She knew she had hypothyroidism. She had been on levothyroxine, which is our most common drug that we use for hypothyroidism. And I ran her labs because she was new to my practice. We ran like a full panel on everything. And we're going through her results. And then I asked her if she has any more questions. And she goes, well, what's this TPOA stuff? And her levels are like 300, which is high. And it was a thyroid antibody panel that I had run on top of everything else. And I was like, oh, well, that's your Hashimoto's. And she was like, what are you talking about? I'm like, Hashimoto's is the most common cause of hypothyroidism, especially in women, especially as we age. And she's like, no one had ever told me why I had hypothyroidism. I was like, yep, that doesn't surprise me at all. They probably never ever ran that panel. They just ran a TSH, and one day it finally came up, high because you were thyroid low. And they were like, oh, you have hypothyroidism. Let's just give you a drug. And never had the conversation about where that was coming from and why that was happening. Anyways, that's not what I do. I dig into what is actually going on to try and help you figure that out so you understand what's going on with your body, what we're doing to help treat that, and coming together with a holistic plan. So things like diet are really coming into play there. Autoimmune disorders, like things like a gluten-free diet, has been shown to help a lot of people to just decrease that inflammation so your body's better able to manage all of that. And other causes of fatigue that we can look at, obviously, women going through perimenopause and menopause, low testosterone is one. They don't talk about that. Testosterone is a big human hormone. Women have more testosterone in their bodies than they do estrogen. It's true. Wild. I know. We just have a heck of a lot less than men do. But it is not a male hormone. It is a human hormone. We all have testosterone. We just have different levels of it. All right. But as women start to lose their testosterone as we age, and some women are more affected than others, it can make a huge difference. It can make you tired. It can make you depressed. It can make you lose muscle mass. And obviously libido is a big part of that too. And then as we lose our estrogen and progesterone, that can also just like everything's just flattened there. So there's a lot of different factors that we need to look at when we're evaluating someone who has fatigue. We also need to look at things like sleep, and you have sleep apnea. The risk for sleep apnea goes up if you're overweight, if you're over 40, if you snore. All of these things can contribute. So it's important to make sure we get this evaluated, because if you're not sleeping, you can't possibly be feeling good. Right. So it's very important. So all right, guys, I really appreciate you joining me today. I'm going to let you go, and I'm going to go ahead and go get my lunch because I haven't eaten yet. I've been busy in practice all morning and doing orders, and we're hiring a new patient care coordinator. So we're working on that right now. It's someone just kind of help navigate our services and the practice and get onboarded and, help with all of that stuff. So I'm excited to bring on some more help here. But yeah, so if you guys are interested in any of our services here, you can DM me anytime. Follow us over on Anti-Gravity Wellness if you want to learn more about perimenopause and menopause. Talk about it all the time. And it's one of those things that we were never taught. We were never taught this. So my mission is to teach about this so women are empowered to take control of their health and seek out those providers like myself who are trained and have more of a functional medicine mindset to really help you to get to the root causes of things. So thank you so much for joining me, and I will catch you on the next one. Bye, everyone.